Excellent. Hey, man, good to see you. Over the summer, we had a great conversation, you and the boys. We were talking about the past for Sum 41 and 27 years of making music and having fun and all your nonsense. And now now we can look ahead to the future. So, first off, thanks for taking some time to do this today, dude.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate that. And Deryck, before we get into any of that stuff, when we saw you on tour with The Offspring and Simple Plan, you guys were putting on great shows every night. Then all of a sudden, unfortunately, your health took a bad downturn. You got COVID and pneumonia. I know you were
Yeah.
in the hospital for a bit. You were laid up at home for a while. How you feeling right now, dude? Everything back to 100%?
Yeah, I feel great now. I actually feel better than I did before I got COVID because I had to get back in shape quickly for when we were young. So I was, really trying hard. I found I was, by the time when we were young came, I'm like, I actually feel better now than I did before.
Well, that's good. I saw some videos from over the last weekend in Vegas. It looked like I was glad to see you on stage. I was also wondering, I'm like, is Deryck pushing himself a little too quick for this? I know that's not a show you wanted to miss out on because you're playing
Yeah.
with Green Day and Blink and everybody, but maybe, well, I'm glad you're okay. It just seemed like that was really
Oh,
fast.
I probably was pushing myself way too fast, but
Okay.
that's what you do.
Yeah. When you got how many people were out there? Like 50,000 people a day, something like that?
I think it was around 60, maybe 60, 70. But yeah.
Yeah. When you have that many people and you're like, we're going to have an awesome set and we got to step our game up with all these other bands, you make it happen, whatever it
Well,
is.
you don't do what we do as musicians and at this level without pushing yourself further than you should. And that
Yeah.
means in being healthy or being unhealthy. That's just what we do.
I interviewed Ben Folds a couple weeks ago, Deryck, and he said playing the music can be the easy part. It's the travel, it's keeping yourself in shape and making sure you're healthy for being on stage. That's one of the hardest parts about being a musician. And you don't realize that until you're really a couple years in. Because at first, everyone's going nuts and partying on the road and everything. But once you're really into it and you're going to that next level, then it's like, okay, I got to really take care of myself and look out for me.
It definitely makes things a lot harder if you don't take care of yourself. I've done both lifestyles, but I mean, it's hard either way, to be honest. But uh, certain things are much more difficult when you've had 1.5 hours sleep and you're still drunk and you're trying to function normally for something that should be simple, and it's way more difficult.
When you guys are doing practices every day of the week, you're like, oh, I can do this, no problem. And then you stayed up till 3 in the afternoon and you're on stage at 6:30. Then it starts to be an issue.
Things get difficult, yeah, for sure.
Did you get to catch up?
Sometimes you're great. That's the problem. Sometimes you're like, that was the best show I've ever had. I should do this all the time.
Not everybody's Superman though. You can't wear the cape every day like that. Did you get to catch up with a bunch of friends that when we were young? Was that cool seeing a bunch of everyone?
Yeah, definitely. Because, the best part about these festivals is being on stage. The second best part with this show is that we knew pretty much everybody and a lot of the bands we started out with, touring in vans together, like Good Charlotte, us, Newfound Glory, or like even Bowling for Soup. Bowling for Soup, we actually shared an actual van together, both bands in one van in like 2000, so we definitely go back with a lot of bands.
That's amazing. I can't even imagine. So you had at that point, was it four of you guys or five? I'm just trying to picture the
It was
logistics.
4.
Okay, so four of you guys bowling for soup. There's four more. It's just that the whole
Yes.
time.
Yeah, you're sharing a bench in the van together. I sat next to Chris. It was fun though. I mean, you're living off of gas station food for lunch and dinner, and you would pick up a couple cases of beer that we'd go through each day and night. We were driving all day and all night, staying at bad hotels that you stop at 4 in the morning for a couple hours. You got to get up and drive again. Stop at some gas station, get some lunch.
Now, do you consider yourself a good van guy, Deryck, like wheelman? Were you good at driving or were you a better passenger navigator?
Yeah, I never drove.
Okay.
Never drove once. Yeah, in those days, Steve-O and I were not drivers. Dave and Cone were drivers, but we always had one tech who did everything. He was our tour manager, sound guy, roadie, driver, everything. And so he was sort of mostly the driver. But yeah, now and then Dave and Cone would take turns, but Steve-O and I never once.
Now, though, I'm sure you don't miss the van days. You're like, things have gotten a little better for some 41. I don't need to go back to the van ever again.
No, no, we don't need to do it. No.
Well, Deryck, we got the new song a couple weeks ago. Landmines came out, and it's the start. I hate to say this, it's the start of the end now for some 41. It's a great beginning to this final journey we're going to take together. When you're making the double album, we'll get to that in a second. When you made Landmines, did you know right away this will be a great first song to come out and say this is going to be the beginning of the last chapter?
No. I knew when Landmines came, it's one of the first songs I wrote really sort of early in the pandemic. And I didn't know what it was for. I just wrote it, and I knew I liked it, and I thought there was something special about it. But I didn't even know if it was going to be a Sum 41 song at first. It wasn't until I sort of kept writing more songs, and I had a collection of songs that I liked that started to kind of, I don't know, it kind of put the songs, the music tells you what to do at the end of the day. You don't really get to decide. I mean, you are the decider at the end. You say, I don't want to do that, but really, they put their hands up, and that song just kind of always stuck around as being something special. When it came time to putting out this record, and it's a double record, and one side is pop punk, 10 songs of pop punk, and the other side is 10 songs of sort of our heavy, sort of metal influenced style. And so when it came to putting out a single on the Heaven side, that one still just felt like it was the strongest one that represented that style of music for us the best.
And you said that the music will take you where you want to go. You probably had no idea when you wrote that, like, oh, we're going to get to a double album eventually with this. It was just a song, and let's see where this goes.
Yeah. The music told me it was a double album. I had written a few pop punk songs that I didn't know what I was going to do with. I thought maybe about giving them away, but I liked them, so I decided to keep them. But I didn't know for what. I was like, it's not going to be a Sum 41 record because we haven't done pop punk in 17 years. Why would I do that? And then I had a collection of the heavier songs, and I liked all of them. And I thought, can these all live on one album if we did 10 or 12 songs? And I drove around listening to it. I'm like, it just doesn't make any sense. So I just kept writing, and then all of a sudden there was a bunch more songs, and I decided I just wanted to hear the pop punk ones, and I just wanted to hear the heavy ones, so I put them in that order. And then as I listened to it all, that's when I realized, or the music told me, this should just be one thing, but a double album.
Now, when you're thinking about that too, Deryck, do you consider releasing them as individual albums, like Guns N' Roses did for Use Your Illusion? Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, all these discussions were had, and it just felt like more of a statement of what Sum 41 is about. Like it represents where we started and where we're at now perfectly, to just come out as one piece. That's how we felt.
Yeah. When you guys decide, okay, this is going to be a double album, was that the point where you started saying this could be the end of things, or was that decided a while back? Because we only found out back in May, and that was, I'll tell you, it was a shocking announcement. It's like, whoa, what's going on here? So what was the story with making the decision?
I think that the record maybe had some part of it. I don't know. I think, like I said, I think this record represents the beginning and where we're at now perfectly. I think it is our best record. I think it's the best idea for a record we've ever had. I really like all the songs on it, and it just felt like, okay, I could walk away with this being the last one. I felt confident. I feel confident about this record to say it's our best record and to just leave it at that.
But it's not like, and let me make this clear with everyone. It's not like there's anger, animosity. None of that was Sum 41. When we saw you guys a couple months ago, I mean, it's family, and it's been family for a long time. It's just, hey, it's been 27 years. It's time for this to come to an end.
It feels like it's time. Yeah, that's really, it's as simple as that, to be honest. But there is no animosity. I mean, we do get along very well, and we'll continue to stay close and as a family after. I think we might even hang out even more because we're not in the band.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you guys are calling each other hey, what's going on? You want to jam sometime? Just come on over to the house and bring your guitar. Let's do it.
Yeah, and I mean, we all have family, we all have kids, and our kids, get along. It's just I think we're obviously going to stay close. It's just
Mhm.
it's time for something different.
Yeah. Have you guys decided, I haven't seen, is there a timetable in releasing the album yet? Are we looking at early next year at this point?
Yeah, I mean that's all that stuff's being discussed. I don't There's no date yet. I would love to get a date. But yeah, we're talking about it. And I think realistically, early new year we'll have a new record out. And I know we're working on when we can put out another song soon. We'd like it to be from the health side this time. So all those things are just kind of being talked about and worked on right now. I think the biggest thing that we had to sort of deal with presently was when we were young festival. We've been preparing for that. Like we said, had some health stuff, and I had to really dive into getting back in shape for that. So really, the focus has been that. Now that's in the rear view, we can start focusing on new releases, songs, album, videos, all that kind of stuff.
Touring too, because everyone's wondering too.
Touring,
You made some
yeah, yeah, yeah,
announcements of a couple festivals over in Europe. We're gonna have you do our
yeah,
iHeartRadio alter ego in January. That's gonna be big too.
yep.
But everyone's wondering when's that coming. But I'll say for you, soon. It's all coming soon.
All the dates are being worked on. What I can tell you is there will be a full world tour next year.
Okay. Can we make any hints about any friends that are joining you for the tour? Or is there gonna be a bunch of people for, like, we're gonna do these people here, this band here for this run, or I don't know. I guess that's all
That
still stuff that's being decided.
It's just being worked on still. So there's nothing that's booked. So I can't really say anything because it could change.
I
So
got
but
you. I got you.
we are talking to a lot of cool bands, and it's gonna be cool no
I'm
matter
gonna
what.
figure. All right, I'll figure this then, Deryck. That maybe while you were at When We Were Young, you may have had some conversations with some friends there and seen what their plans might be for next year. Can we
there
assume that?
there were a few quick conversations for
Okay.
sure, but I mean a lot of it we were just catching up and hanging out, and then little talk of work, but more
Yeah.
of just hanging out.
Yeah.
But
Not too
yes, you
much
are right.
business.
There was a little bit of business for sure.
Okay. Good. 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 Deryck, last thing before I let you go. Have you thought about what you're going to do afterwards? Because you're probably going to do this tour for a while. I figured you want to see everyone on your last run. Have you started to think about, like, I doubt you're going to get out of music. You probably want to do producing, do some solo stuff. I don't know. Have you given that any thought yet?
Uh, yes and no. I mean, the way I work and the way I operate, just how I was just saying with when we were young, I put everything I have into what is coming out, right? Like my entire focus is making this final Sum 41 release of Heaven and Hell and the world tour the best thing we've ever done. So that's where my focus is right now. And I think once there's nothing to think about with that is when I'll decide what I'm going to do next.
I'm going to say, Deryck, you've stayed with Sum 41 and been so busy for almost 30 years now. The day it's over, you're going to sleep in that day, but then the next day, all right, what's next? I got to start working on my next project. You're not going to be one to stay on the sidelines for too long.
No, I don't do that. I can't do that. I don't
No.
even think I'll sleep in. I think I'll wake up with my normal like 4 hours sleep and be like, okay, I got stuff to do today.
All right, what's on the tour schedule? Oh, that's
Yeah,
okay. Well, let me find something else. Well, Deryck,
yeah,
we got the new song "Landmines." Really, really excited to play that for everyone. We got it going on iHeartRadio, and we'll have you guys for Alter Ego in January, and then the album
yeah,
"Heaven and Hell" sometime next year. The big tour. There's going to be a lot for the last run with Sum 41. We're going to have a lot of fun together, brother. Thank you for doing this today. I appreciate your time.
yeah. Thank you very much. It was fun.